Alright, boom, boom, boom. This is Coronation TV. I am Corofire, Zine, artist, writer, poet, performer, creative extraordinaire. And right here, I am presenting content that is separate from the music content, where I create a whole new atmosphere, right? Which is opinions, video, reviews, songs, hip-hop, reggae, world politics, you know what I mean? Current events, you name it. That's what Coronation TV is about. I'm a Jamaican living in the US, and yeah, it's been about 6 years now, and I realized that as an artist, it's always good to branch off and to separate my various ventures, you know what I mean? And YouTube allows that. YouTube allows you to have as many channels as you want. So why not create something that is separate from my artist persona and music, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, separate from the art. So you don't just view me as just the artist, you view me in my other capacities. You feel me? Because we have other talents, and people like to hear my opinions and stuff, you know what I mean? I was running a podcast, I was running a little, you know, it's a little thing. I was doing my thing with my podcast, but yo, life hit me, and I decided to put the podcast to the side, put the video reviews to the side, and yo, just handle life, you know what I'm saying? Handle my responsibilities outside of content creation, so to speak. But while I was on my hiatus, a few people hit me up, yo, we're going for some episodes and not seeing any new content. Somebody hit me up about a book that they're releasing, and they would want to present the book and want me to ask them some questions and just interview them, right? Some young Pan-Africanists were asking me, you know, when is the content, and if they could come on the podcast, and you know, if I could interview them and just have a reasoning, have a discussion with them so they could get their thoughts off. So while I was on my hiatus, I never realized that even though my program, my little venture was not a big thing, there were people who were watching. There were people who were watching, and it meant something to them. They were interested, they were following the journey, and that means a lot to me, you know? That meant a lot to me, it still means a lot to me. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. I was waiting for the right circumstances, but honestly, it's never the perfect time to do anything, really. There's always something that's going to be in the back of your head, something that's gonna be imperfect about the situation, something that needs to be fixed, or something that, you know, could enhance the situation. So honestly, right now it's just me roughing it just the same. I mean, at the time I had more space to work with. Right now there's some stuff going on at my space that I was filming and doing my videos, you know what I'm saying? So it's not as convenient to making videos anymore. Just for now, you know what I mean? We're actually refurbishing the place, and I'm actually thinking of moving as well. So it's two things happening at the same time. There's some renovations going on where I live, and I might move, you know, to a bigger place with more space, and thinking of just upgrading everything at that time. So right now, we're doing the best we can. I upgraded the audio, right? I have a perfect wireless mic still using a good camera, you know what I mean? We definitely plan to upgrade the camera as well. But yo, Coronation TV, you know what I mean? So stay tuned. One of the first things I want to say is, man, you have to do what you have to do in this life. Things aren't gonna be perfect all the time, but yo, go out there, do what you have to do, create if you want to create. Express yourself. Be adventurous. Be creative. Think outside the box. But at the end of the day, don't suppress your talents. Don't suppress your passions. Don't let this system get you so caught up in survival that you don't live, you know what I mean? You don't live out your passions and do what you need to do. That's something that has affected me over time, where I'm busy in various ways. Survival has me, you know what I'm saying? So, message, you know what I mean? Do what you have to do what you must, you know what I'm saying? Small steps, that's all it takes to get where you want to go. And yeah, man, as usual, stay optimistic, stay positive. And I'm gonna continue to be an example, you know what I'm saying, of somebody who is not perfect, has not been doing everything perfect, not even being consistent, but at the same time not giving up, you know what I'm saying? Because that's one thing about me personally. I am not giving up. Seeing, even if I'm not consistent, I'm not giving up. So I'm gonna try until I get this habit of consistency down in whatever I have to do, and we'll see what the results forward. You know, we'll see how the results turn out. But trust me, it's a one-man show on this side, you know what I'm saying? And that's just how life has left me in various situations where I just have to figure it out by myself, you know what I'm saying? And that's fine. I was born alone, you know what I mean? Born alone, where I got dead alone, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. And you and nobody else born. When you drop out, more than likely it won't be you and somebody else drop out at the same time. You understand? You alone and live your life, and you have to figure things out yourself. A certain set, and that is totally fine. Seeing? The Most High is there for guidance. The Most High guide you at all times. The Most High is within us. In essence, we are the Most High as well. Seeing? So one of the things is to just keep believing in myself. You know, I'm an example of that, man. Believe in myself. Manifest the things I want to see happen in my life, and yeah, keep going. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So, yo, just remember, I'm a Pan-Africanist, black conscious, you know what I mean, Rasta man. So you're not getting no lame content, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm just a regular man who love what I love, you know what I'm saying? I love music. As I said, I listed the things I love already, so just be aware of that, you know what I mean? So that's that. Yeah. Go and stay tuned, you know what I mean, to Coronation TV. Yeah, man. Alright, so one of the first things I want to talk about is this FBA thing, Foundational Black Americans. This is just a rant without doing much research and deep dives, you know what I mean? Just over the years, what I've been seeing from a brethren called Tariq Nasheed, right? And what he has to say about black people who are not from America. I don't even know if we can even call black people anymore, because some of these foundational black Americans want to claim black as only being an American thing. So if you're not from America as a melanated being, you can't even call yourself black. So this is weird, right? Marcus Garvey was one of the first person to use the term black. Marcus Garvey is a Jamaican. Marcus Garvey started probably the biggest Pan-Africanist movement ever in the United States, right? Big up to the Black Panther movement, big up to Nation of Islam, you know what I mean? We're all united, you know what I mean? We're all connected, I should say. We should all be united, really and truly, if we want to have power. And that's kind of like the gist of what my rant is about, really and truly. Like, the power that we are going to have in this country is going to come from unity. So us separating ourselves as foundational Black American and immigrants, and using divisive terms like tether and whatever the case may be, to describe somebody who lives in the United States who's not a Black American seems to be gearing towards more divisiveness, more divide, more harm, right? Seems to be doing more harm than good if we're thinking about real power, right? Now, if you look on the Europeans who control the United States of America and the descendants of Europeans who control the US, they don't think like that. You don't hear Irish people fighting against German Americans. You don't hear Irish Americans fighting German Americans. You don't hear, British Americans fighting against, I don't know, Spanish Americans, right? People from Spain, not necessarily Hispanic or Latin community, right? So my thing is, some of the richest people in America are white immigrants, yet still America on a whole and the white establishment in America does not see them as a threat. They welcome them. They see them as allies. One of the richest men in America, if not the richest man in America, is South African Elon Musk. I don't see other, wealthy Americans or just Americans in general, white Americans, referring to Elon Musk as someone who's stealing Americans' jobs and who looks down on white Americans. And trust me, you have a lot of Americans, you have a lot of foreign people, Europeans, who don't have the nicest things to say about white Americans. But white America doesn't care about them because they don't see them as a major threat to their white supremacy at the end of the day. They're more like an ally. However, there's this group which I can understand where they're coming from with some of their sentiment, right? The group called FBA, led by Tariq Nasheed, who see Black immigrants who come to America as being the enemy, or paint them like the enemy, right? Even if it's a small number, they seem to be highlighting them on such a level that they seem to be a threat to the Black community in America, which I don't see them as a threat. Because I agree, you do have immigrants who come to the United States and pretend like they're better than Americans, but they're in the minority. A lot of us, including myself, who come to the United States, actually hold Black culture in high regard, in high esteem. Like, I grew up on hip hop. I love hip hop. I see hip hop as one of the highest forms of expression in the spoken word, poetry, right? Like, there is no genre of music to me that is as intelligent as hip hop. Mainstream hip hop aside, you know what I mean? Just hip hop in general, rapping, and the skills and the literary devices used in hip hop, right? I've always revered Black actors and Black American pioneers in various forms, in various arts, in various forms of academia. See? Black Americans are some of the most powerful people that ever existed. And I revere, and I'm not in the minority here as an immigrant. A lot of us Black immigrants hold Black Americans in high regard. Now, the mainstream Black Americans, mainstream media, right, how they present Black America is how a lot of people across the world who may not have direct access to the Black American community, they view Black America as such. They view them based on what America presents to the world, mainstream America presents to the world as Black culture and Black society. So at the end of the day, you can't necessarily blame black immigrants for coming to America with a certain perception of what black Americans are based on how black America is sold to the world and presented to the world, right? And so they internalize these things that are presented to them, these stereotypes. They come to America, wherever they see these things being reflected, they want nothing to do with it. This is in turn interpreted by a lot of black Americans as people acting like they're better than black Americans. But we have to look on the programming that exists within media and within mainstream society. Remember, we're not the only ones being programmed, as black immigrants. The whole world is being programmed. So the whole world is given these images, these stereotypes of various groups. I'm from Jamaica. Jamaica has its own stereotypes, and people have their own opinions of what Jamaicans are and how Jamaicans behave based on what's presented to the world. From Jamaica, from mainstream society in Jamaica, from the music culture, in dancehall, even the movies, shatters, right? When you say Kingston to a lot of people believe that Kingston is just one big slum, one big ghetto. And Kingston is not like that. The amount of houses in Kingston that can rival, mansions in Miami, mansions in Beverly Hills, LA, right? In Europe, are countless. A lot of houses are being sold in US dollars in Kingston. Matter of fact, we have our own Beverly Hills. See? So it's all about perception. So we cannot just look on black Americans. We can't just look, black Americans can't just, foundational black Americans cannot highlight the minority and use it to describe the majority and see that as no real threat. You know what I'm saying? There's more power in us unifying and trying to understand each other and the nuances that make us who we are, than us trying to divide against each other and fight amongst ourselves. It really won't get us far. And there's a lot more I want to say on that. So that's just one of the first rants, you know what I'm saying, in my presentation. See, hold it more to forward. I do think that, more understanding is needed amongst the communities, Real quick, I see where the argument is put forth that, Hollywood and white America definitely utilizes a lot of black immigrants quicker, hire them quicker, are quicker to give them roles in Hollywood and positions in corporate America than they are to give black Americans these positions. And that's something that's seen as a problem. And I definitely would love to investigate that to see if that's true. And if that is true, then we must understand that that's still not the fault of the black immigrant, right? But the black immigrant definitely has a role to play in highlighting that if that is something that is true. There are movies of the past where I see Huey P. Newton, I see various black American greats being played by, black immigrants from England and from Africa. And I'm like, what? That's weird, And then to see it even happen in Jamaica, I was offended, But there's a movie with Bob Marley. I think the Marley family was behind it as well. And Bob Marley was played by a British guy who wasn't even Rasta, just because he has a name, right? And he's a renowned actor. He's a good actor. And that is why he was given the role. I take offense to that, right? And it's something I observe time and time again in Hollywood here in the US where I live, LA. A lot of roles that could be filled by talented black Americans are given to black immigrants, especially roles that are roles that are of great Black American leaders, right? And that's messed up. So I do see where it's kind of jacked up in a sense, you know, stuff roles are given to immigrants in Hollywood, but that's just one thing. I mean, corporate America is a bigger beast, is a more powerful beast. I'd love to see how that is reflected in corporate America as well, because that's messed up. And I would, as a Black immigrant, I definitely wouldn't want to know that that's the reality where, you know, Black immigrants are being given positions over Black Americans for the mere fact that they think Black immigrants are more obedient and are more easy to control because we don't want to lose our green card and our status and all of these things and citizenship and stuff like that. But I do see where that could be a strategy used, you know. You control the slave, it's easy to control the new slaves like that. You know, they don't want to lose their status in this country. And so they would be much more willing to be obedient and play ball and not rebel. So that's something that I definitely find problem with if that is true. And I can see that being true. But as I say, I definitely want to investigate that more. You know what I mean? Because that's some weak-heart behavior. And but that's the ball game, you know what I mean? That's the game that these people play. It's all about power and control, and you know, unfortunately, that is where the world is right now. All over, you know what I mean? It's not just the US. If you're not willing to play ball with these people, they're definitely going to ensure that excuse me, they're definitely going to ensure that they find people who are willing to play ball, and yeah, you'll be locked out of the ballpark, you know what I mean? You won't even get on the field. You won't even be in the bleachers, in the stands, you know what I mean? You'll be across the street, down the road, somewhere. That's the nature of the beast. So, man, you know what? I'm looking forward to the day when we can just say what we want to say without fear on all platforms. Because that's another thing. You'll get shut down and blacklisted and shadow banned and all these things the more you speak out against certain things. So, yo, Black creatives, let's find a way to create our own version of YouTube. Let's find a way to create our own platforms, because that is what is coming. That is something that is coming, where we won't be able to freely speak and say what we want because Uncle Sam, you know what I mean? The small hats, you know, the overseers, the Bakra masters are watching, and they don't want certain voices to be heard. They don't want certain things to be said. And they are programming these things into the algorithm, into the AI, right? It's an AI overseer most of these platforms have now, you know, right? So just keep that in mind. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they are literally, they are run by AI, right? You probably have to be at a level where some lawsuit is gonna happen before a real human being looks on your case or your page or your channel or whatever, right? But if certain keywords are spoken, you're gonna get shadow banned, you're gonna get deplatformed, demonetized, whatever the case may be. You're not gonna be shown to a bunch of people. So that's another thing to segue into that. I want to continue that in another conversation as well. You know what I mean? Black people, we need to get up to speed with tech, so we have our own platforms where we are free to say what we want without fear of losing our channel, losing our voices. You know what I mean? And yeah, we need to get on it. You know what I'm saying? That will be lucrative. That would be a lucrative thing for whoever jumps on that from early. You know what I mean? So, yeah. For some reason, I'm getting stuffy. I don't know why. I'm in the car, the AC's on. I'm burning hella gas. This is LA. Gas is expensive. So, I'm going to go right now. I'm going to leave y'all. This is the first episode of Coronation TV. Just sharing my thoughts. I don't have a name for this yet, but yo, if you like, subscribe, share, comment. Say anything you want to say. I don't care. You know what I mean? Bash it, compliment it, whatever. Just leave your thoughts, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm out, man. See you next time. See you soon.